Okay, we are back live with another Between the Pages book chat, and today our guest is fantasy author Melissa Sell, and she's here to talk about her Chronicles of Fae series. So I'm going to turn it over to her now and let her introduce herself. So take it away.
Hi, I'm Melissa Sell. I'm the author of the Chronicles of Fae trilogy and owner and CEO of United Fae Faedom Publishing.
Oh, great! And so tell us a little bit about the series. What is it about?
It was originally published in 2010, and I took it down so that it could be re-edited, get new covers. I wanted to take it a little further, get a bit more in depth, give some more depth to the characters, a little more backstory to it, and add scenes in it that I had previously taken out. But it's about two sisters who find out about their heritage as Fae royalty, um, and how they were lied to for most of their their entire lives, about where they came from, who their parents were. Um, they find out that they actually have a sibling that they never knew about because their memories had been wiped at a young age. And their sibling is the one that actually caused their parents' deaths.
Ooh.
So, um, but they have to stop their sibling from trying to kill them, because once their sibling actually kills them, then they get all the ancestral power and they can take over the entire world.
Well, that sounds like a conflict, definitely.
Yeah, little sibling rivalry.
Oh, that's always good. Sibling rivalry is good. Um, Especially when it's with powerful siblings and you get lots of destruction.
Yeah.
So, what inspired you to write the book originally?
It actually started in book club many, like in 2009, 8, 9. We were actually reading a bunch of stuff by Laurel K. Hamilton, her Meredith Gentry series. And one of the girls in the group actually mentioned to the rest of the members that I write. So they all asked if I'd write something Fae. I was like, sure, okay. So it was intended to be a short story, nothing that would ever be any further than that. But once I wrote the what is now the first chapter, they wanted more. So it was every 2 weeks I was bringing out a new chapter until I had a full on book. But the book didn't end the way that I had intended. It ended on a cliffhanger. So it ended up being 3 books. And I had never intended for that to happen, but everybody liked it so much. I was like, okay. So I just kept going. And then it ended up in 3 books. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to do something now.
Yeah, I know that feeling. That happened to me with my Saga the Outer Island story. Started as a flash fiction, went on to a short story, then the short story evolved into a novel, and then 3 novels, and now there's 2 more series planned. So,
Oh my goodness.
yeah. So, tell us about the main characters. What are they like?
The main characters are Kesta and Karis. It's from Kesta's point of view. In the original manuscripts, it was actually third person, but in the new, it is actually first person from Kesta. There are a couple chapters that have Karis's point of view, but the main story is from Kesta's. But their two sisters are really close. Kesta's actually going through a lot of things that happened in her life, where she's actually just got out of an abusive marriage. Her dog passed away, and she lost her job all within 6 months. So her sister Karis, who's a chef and owns her own restaurant, decides that they need to take a college trip, or call it a trip like they did back when they were in college, just to clear their minds and get away, and let Kesta get breathe for the first time. And that's when all the trouble happens. So, but Kesta's more of a level-headed person, and Karis is not. She's fly off the seat of your pants kind of person. So their personalities actually, complement one another. Of course, until they meet their long lost sibling, and then the shit hits the fan. So,
So so tell us a little about the sibling. I'm assuming they're the antagonist.
Yes, he is for the first book. I won't give away any more than that, but for the first book, he is. Um, he's his name's Danyon, and he was actually not supposed to be born. He is actually a different species. He's a deva, which is like a demonic fae, and he was born to the royal family. And his species was supposed to be extinct, but it turns out that it wasn't. He's actually a new generation of it. So when he was born, he not only was able to take some of the Fae powers, but also become a Larker, which is a creature that can absorb all the powers from something that it destroys. So anything he kills, he gets their power, and he can use his ancestral powers as well. So he's pretty powerful, and it actually is going to take both sisters to do something about him.
Okay, so what kind of mythology or folklore did you base your book on, or did you make it up from scratch?
It was mainly made up. The Deva is actually a different type of demonic creature, but I used some of it to apply to Fae because they kind of coincide with one another, but it is a type of demon. But there is other folklore mythology and stuff in there, like Aine is in it. She was one of the first to create the mermaids and Fae. She's the one that created fairies from basically dragonflies. That's where the dragonfly myth comes from. They have trying to remember what else is in there for the first book, because I don't want to mix up all the books together and then people are like, well, that's not in there. For the first book, it mainly just touches on that, and then it gets further along, and then the last book there's quite a few creatures that all collide into one to make one giant big war through all of mankind and Fae. So
Oh, so it's got an explosive climax to the series.
very much so, yes.
So there's your teaser, readers. Okay, so what was the hardest scene or type of scene for you to write in the series?
Ooh, there were several. There's some that actually made me kind of tear up. And the one about the parents, where they finally find out what actually, because they didn't know how their parents died. It was always that they were killed in a car accident when they actually weren't killed in a car accident. And then their memories are brought back to them once their binding is undone, and they have the visions of exactly how their parents died. That was pretty hard to write. It was really sad. And you have to go through all the emotions your characters go through as they're seeing it. And in the second book, there's a major deaths. So that was actually pretty hard to write too. I had to stop for a while and then come back to it.
Okay, so what was your favorite scene or type of scene to have written in the series?
I love writing all of Karis's sarcasm. She's extremely sarcastic. And a lot of the banter of her and her guardian Diamond is just, I love it so much. I love how they're like two puzzle pieces that fit perfectly together. And I love writing about them too. And then there's a scene in the third book of a time traveling Fae that I really enjoyed writing about, because if you're a fan of Doctor Who, you'll be like, ooh.
Oh, I always love those little Easter eggs. They're fun.
Yeah. There's a lot. I'm a really big fan of Doctor Who. So if anybody liked the 12th Doctor and his companion, Clara, you'll definitely see similarities there of their characters.
Yeah, I got a little Doctor Who Easter egg in my book too. So It's just a little throwaway line that if you watch the show, you know what it means. But anyway, um, so tell us a little bit about the secondary characters. Are they a little quirky? Are they like to steal scenes?
They try to. I think some of my favorite characters are the secondary characters, like Sally. I love Sally so much. I really wish Sally was real and not just a character in a book because she is great. She's really feisty. She's really smart, and she's a great warrior. She's just perfect at it. And she's a pixie, so she can actually make herself large, tall. She can do whatever she needs to do. And her wings that she have are actually swords. So,
Oh, that is cool.
yeah, when they come out, the ends of them can actually turn into swords and jab the hell out of somebody to kill them. And she's like one of my favorites. She's great in battle. You need her. And then Lena, she's a keeper. She's a keeper of all things Fae, secrets, and medallions. She's a keeper of everything. And then Kesta and Karis's mother was, of course, a Fae queen, but she was also a creator. So she created a lot of things. And one of my favorite things that she created was the Great Library that's in the book. And you can go into this library and you can spend years. And when you walk out, no time has passed. So you can catch up on all your TBR lists inside this library if you need to. And
Yes, that sounds like the perfect library, actually.
it really is. And the sisters, because there's so much in Fae that they have no idea what Fae was really. I mean, their closest thing to Fae as being part human that they knew about was Tinkerbell. So when they go into this library, they have to learn everything Fae, especially all the customs and things with all the different types of creatures because they are royalty and they are supposed to know all this. So when they go into the library, what one sister reads, the other absorbs as well. So only one sister technically needs to read anything and the other one can learn all the information too. Which keeps Karis in the donuts and Kesta reading. So, because little teapots and stuff pop up and get them snacks and everything when they need it when they're hungry as they're absorbing their information.
Okay. I gotta ask about the teapots. Was that a little nod to Beauty and the Beast?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And one of the teacups actually falls and gets a chip. And then there's a broom and dustpan that comes over and cleans up after it. So
Okay, so what are your characters afraid of?
they're afraid of each other dying. They're both afraid of losing each other. That's their biggest fears.
Okay, so if you could hang out in real life with one of the characters, who would you pick?
Ooh. See, that's hard because Knight, who is Kesta's guardian, is the Alexander Skarsgård of elves. So he's delicious, and I wouldn't mind hanging out with him. But, I think if we go into probably the second book, there's a chimera that I would like to hang out with because he's very wise. So he knows everything past, present, and future, and everything that's going to happen.
Yeah,
So I'd like to pick his brain for a while.
that would be fun.
Yeah.
So obviously you write fantasy, and I know you've written some anthology short stories for anthologies as well. So do you write in any other genres, or are there any other genres that you'd like to write in?
I do. I actually write. My first two books were thriller mysteries, Writer's Edge and its sequel, Sins of Egypt, who they've also been pulled for right now because they're undergoing new stuff too. But I did write horror, and I've got a young adult series in the works too. I also have two children's books, The Escapades of Nay. It's fantasy, but it's about a little pixie named Nay that finds her way into the mortal world and makes a friend.
Okay, so are there any other genres you'd like to try that you haven't yet?
I'm not really all that great at horror. I have one story in horror and that's it. And I would like to expand on that. because I feel like it would probably get out a lot of anxieties, because I like when I get anxious or get anxiety, I like watching stuff in movies that blow up.
Mm.
Just watch a bunch of stuff that's just going crazy. It makes me feel better. So I think probably expanding on my horror would probably be better, because I'm not really. I have one, and that's it.
Yeah, and speaking as a horror writer, fantasy mixes well with horror, so you can combine the two and make very interesting stuff. So
And I probably should.
okay, so I think we'll wrap it up here, and I'll let you tell everyone where they can find you and your books.
You can go to if I can talk, www.williscell.com, or you can find me on Facebook. Just type in my name, or you can go to United Fatum Publishing and find me there.
Okay, so I'd like to thank you for being here today. It was a pleasure chatting with you, and your books
Thank
sound
you.
wonderful.
Thank you.
And so that's it for today. We won't have a show for tomorrow because it's Father's Day, and we had to reschedule our guest for July, but we'll be back next weekend with 2 more authors, and we'll see you then. So bye for now.